Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's chilly today. You go from 50 and 60 and then you're down at 38, which is what Thomas Jefferson said we have. And the wind is at 10.5 miles an hour, they say, and it's going to go up to 18 later. So it's good I'm getting out now. And the humidity, the clouds look like it's going to rain, but it hasn't rained. The clouds are reflect a humidity of 61%. So that's the ether that I'm walking through. Now, I'm a kid from the South Bronx, and those of you who were street kids, men and women, then boys and girls, had fistfights. And a favorite expression among kids who were hitting each other with skin, meaning just their fists usually. No chains, no sticks, very occasionally something like that happened. I was never in a fight like that. So what would you hear? I got your back, And sometimes you'd be fighting with somebody and somebody would grab you because they thought that you were doing too much harm, or they supported the other guy. And those were saying, I got your back to one or the other of the contenders. Okay, now let's look at the Democrats the other evening. The Democrats waved small little signs. They changed their clothes. They brought a friend. Oh, okay, so that's what they did. They didn't stand with Congressman Al Green of Texas. Sorry, I said he was from New York the other day. I don't know what I was thinking, but I've done this a couple of times, so pardon me. He arose in the chambers to decry any compromise on Medicaid benefits, a quite worthy objection. In a chamber where there were going to be, and I didn't listen to any of the speech, except I've seen snippets in the news since, because I can't stand the man, and I knew he was going to lie endlessly. It's like a fire hose of perfidy and false claims and promises, all calculated to aggrandize to himself power, using the force of the lie, the force of fear, the force of loss. And when Al Green stood up, that's what he was talking about. You have some nerve coming into this chamber. He could have said, you have some nerve coming into this chamber that was the scene of your effort to overthrow an election you lost and to make you the president. And now you stand here and somebody lectures me, Al Green, on the First Amendment. He didn't say those things. He's a gentleman. But he did take an action. And he did stand up with a cane in one hand and argue that the president was failing Americans who were sick and poorer than others. Medicaid. Now, here's the thing. I got your back. No one, not one person, as far as I know, followed him out of the chambers when they had Representative Green escorted from the chambers. You want to talk about white privilege? What would have happened if a white man had done that? So they could have gotten up when he left, or maybe every few minutes somebody would get up and leave. They didn't do that. They just sat there. The Dems, and I consider myself a lifelong Democrat, a genetic Democrat. The Democrats were pathetic. I've seen them stronger than that. I worked on the Hill, on the House and the Senate side at different times, and I saw real heroes, but not, well, Al Green. I give it to Al Green. And but I have to challenge the leadership for thinking that you can just sort of let the Republican monarchists hurt themselves, because we are the sound of silence on the other end of this catastrophe. How is that possible? Now, Robert Kennedy, that is the great American, the former advisor to his brother Jack Kennedy, the senator from New York, the head of the Justice Department. He was fond of saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I didn't see tough, except for Al Green. Tough was Al Green. Tough was what Robert Kennedy said. Tough is what the fight for the vote for women was years ago. What individual rights and liberties were for the civil rights movement. The work of people to stop illegal, unconstitutional wars that we were lied about. The fact that we went into Iraq, and you know, the list goes on of past problems that were dramatic in their horrible effect on our life, on America, on our values. And here we are again. But have we lost the force in Congress to fight? I remember visiting Congress when they were fighting on the floor of the House about how to object to the Vietnam War. And we didn't know then that they were lying about body counts and how the war was being waged. And McNamara confessed this in a book later, and some forgave him. I read the book in a bookstore because I didn't want to give him a penny. So I went to Congress, and there was a Congressman Ryan from the west side of Manhattan, a very impressive guy. And he was fighting cancer, and he had a motion on the floor that day, and it favored his efforts to attack the war in Vietnam. And the motion lost, and he told me what more he was going to do. And I left his office and I wandered around the Capitol, and I said to myself, that's what heroic is in the face of terrible odds. Ryan physically and politically, and as a matter of an ingenious parliamentarian, was having a series of losses. Now, we did save the day. Not without a lot more pain in years past that we didn't think were possible. Not without Martin Luther King being killed and Robert Kennedy being killed. That's what this battle is. It's about that kind of an attack on our entire society. And if we don't act, we'll lose it. We'll lose it. Too much ignorance, too many lies, too many bad acts, too many inhumane public functions. Even in the face of courts ruling against Trump, he keeps on coming like the oaf he is. I was Zoe Lofgren's chief of staff and her special counsel years ago, and a friend of mine forwarded a picture of her, and she looked downcast. I can't blame her. And today, the House censured Al Green for disrupting the ramblings and word salads and castigations and false statements that went on and on. That kind of First Amendment was okay. But one person standing up in a body of 435 congresspersons and 100 senators, if they all attended, he stood up and said, "This is wrong." And we punish him for it. What is the lesson there? Trump in his speech said he was for free speech. Oh yeah? As long as it concurs with what he believes and what helps him politically. So today the House censured Al Green. And get this. Remember, I got your back. Dems agreed. They actually voted for his censure. What did the others do? Did they vote against it? No. They voted present. Present. Oh, beaten, smashed, crushed, humiliated, shameful. Choose your own words. Are these our fighters? Shame we can't change them now, immediately, because they're not ready for fight. They don't know how to fight. As Green was being censured, members of the Black Caucus sang, "We shall overcome." I can't say the number of times that I've been at political events in which we sang that song. Some sing better than others. And why didn't the entire chamber sing that song? Why not? That's the kind of dramatic gesture that can be heard around the world. That's the kind of act that is understood in a symbolism that's better than little placards and colored shirts and things like that. Because it summons up everything that's wrong with Trump. Because Trump doesn't believe in liberty or freedom. Nobody seems to get that. They keep saying he must understand. He understands. He knows perfectly what he's doing. We have to replace our losers and our faint efforts at protest and objection with real fighting. Congress members, too many, I'm afraid, are struggling to keep their phony baloney jobs, to borrow from Mel Brooks, while thousands upon thousands lose theirs, and our agencies beginning to have trouble serving the nation for the general welfare, which is supposed to be promoted according to our Constitution. The scripture of this nation is clearly written, but it doesn't mean a damn thing if the conduct doesn't mirror the words of wisdom from the founders and what we've learned through the years of amendments and difficulties in this nation. Now, you may remember that we investigated how Russia helped Trump win the first election, what they did in 2016. And we complained about the interference of another nation state, Russia, in our elections, how it ran down opponents of Trump, and how he succeeded with his strategy. And now, where are we? He is, according to a report I heard, thinking about encouraging and supporting candidates against Zelensky in Ukraine. That's right. We are thinking of interfering in an election to defeat the person who stands by the citizens of Ukraine. We're interfering in another nation state, even as we challenge NATO as to whether or not we'll continue to remain a member of NATO as NATO is presently stated, and perhaps change the documents, the charter to which we belong. So we got our work cut out for us. The courts are doing well. More commentators are following the example of people that I think are worthy standard bearers of what we the people, want and need. And our representatives have got to wake up. You got to get down and dirty. You have to get in the fight. You can't win this fight sitting in the stands, wearing t-shirts, holding up paddles. Ridiculous, pathetic. So, sorry, that's what I got for today. There are other issues, but these are overarching issues of the construct by which we preserve and protect the republic and our democracy. So, hopefully I'll be out tomorrow, maybe warmer, from my cathedral of trees. All the best. Bye-bye.